Are you tired of the banksters making the big bonuses? Is your money in some savings account getting 0.5% interest? Well, take charge of your finance. Next Thursday, Alessio Rastani, the Robin Hood of Wall Street, will be giving a free webinar at 7 p.m. British Standard Time, and he will teach you how to buy low and sell high and preserve your wealth and learn a little bit about these markets so you can take control of your life and your finance. I'll be there. If you want to sign up, click on the link below or go to leadingtrader.com/real. Do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. How old's your daughter, Adam?
I have one who's almost 5 and another who's 2.
Okay. Now, our generation is always going to be the younger generation coming up. How do you teach a 5-year-old to be a giver? Or is that too hands-on? Do you not want to teach people to be givers?
I have very mixed reactions to the whole idea. I think, I never wanted to be one of these psychologists who screws up their kids by, over-applying what they do professionally at home.
Yeah.
Right, which does happen all the time, right?
It's I've seen it enough that I'm terrified of it.
Of it doing it, yeah.
Luckily, though, I'm an organizational psychologist, and so my training is, mostly about workplace behavior and adult dynamics. So I don't know a lot about clinical or developmental issues. So I have less knowledge to inflict upon them.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I'll thank you one day.
Yeah, we hope, right? But I think, certainly it's important to me to cultivate, a spirit of helpfulness and generosity in my family. Yeah. And my wife, Allison, is she's the best example of a giver at home I've ever met. So I've learned a lot from watching what she does. If you look at the research on this, what does it take to actually raise a child who's going to be more giving? There are a couple of things you can do. One that I really like, Chris Bryan has these studies showing that kids do helpful stuff every day. So, they share a crayon, they offer some food, they may clean up the room for their younger sibling. And how you label that as a parent is really important. Okay. So if you say that was really helpful, it doesn't do nearly as much good if you say you were really helpful. So basically labeling the person as a giver as opposed to just commenting on the giving act. They're more likely to internalize it, especially as young kids.
Okay.
So he shows that kids will give more if you label them as helpers or givers as opposed to thank them for helpting and giving.
I'll try and remember that. That's a good one.
It's a simple one, but I think you repeat that.
Do you apply that? Do you apply that?
I don't want to overdo it, but in certain times, like when I see our older daughter Joanna, go out of her way to help Elena, her younger sister, they fight sometimes. So when she helps, I want to go out of my way and say, Joanna, you were really helpful. Thank you.
Cool.
So
that's wicked.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, isn't it? When it comes to try to motivate your kids, because it's weird too, because you see them do some nice things during the day, and then kids can do some horrible things during the day. Where I guess as parents, you probably focus on those. Why are you doing that? And I guess you should be trying to be the focus of the good stuff. But that's like an American parenting thing. Like, you're so good at this. You're so good. Some people say American parents overdo it.
Big time. There's a book on this called Generation Me.
Okay.
By Gene Twenge, which I really enjoyed reading, and it's a wonderful critique of basically how a lot of parents are screwing up the generation of millennials by boosting their self-esteem and making them feel great about things that have no substance behind them, and creating these very fragile egos where you got a trophy every time you finished in last place at anything, and you thought you were really special, and then you get into this harsh reality of the world of work, and you can't take any constructive criticism.
Yeah, I see that a lot with free running.
Really?
So I'll go to an academy or something, and I'll see there'll be a young kid there that's 10 years old, and everyone's like, this kid's amazing, he's going to be the next best kid in the world, when he's old, he's going to be the best in the world. And then he does a flip and everyone's like, oh my God. And it's that approach is just going to breed, he's going to get bored so quickly because he's going to think he's achieved everything. You have to rate that kid as equivalent as everyone else there. Just treat him like an adult, treat him as though he's equal to everyone, and don't give him extra praise, because otherwise he's going to get bored or he's going to grow an ego. And it's if you treat him okay, so that was nice, but what's the next thing you can do from there? Just everyone should always be progressing and working forward. And if you do tell them they're amazing and they're the best and they're going to be so good in a few years, then it's they're going to get bored of that thought and they're going to move on to something else, or they're going to grow that ego. And
that connects really nicely to Carol Dweck's research. You might have read her book Mindset. No, I haven't. What she shows is that if you're going to deal with a kid like that who's really talented, it's better to praise his or her effort than the talent itself.
That's it. Okay.
Because you tell the kid, you're great, and then when they fail, they start to think, well, I guess I wasn't talented in this area. Whereas you say, you succeeded at that because you worked really hard.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing that when they fail, they just need to put in more practice and train harder, and then they're much more likely to continue developing and improving.
I like that. I try to remember that when I see a kid, and I'll see how hard they're working rather than the moves they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you want to teach them, right, that the reason they succeeded was because they put in deliberate practice.
Yeah.
So you say, for example, what would he say to someone like, that was really good work on that, or you put the time in and that's why you were successful? Or?
So I think what you can do is you start by evaluating the performance, right?
Yeah.
So, you basically say, if like in diving, for example, you have a 0 to 10 score. And so in practice, what I would do every day when I was coaching divers would be to say, okay, if we were in a meet, that dive would have been a 6.5.
Yeah.
And, here's what I really liked about it. And here's how I think you got there. And then I would describe some of the moves of practice that I think were really critical in order to make that thing successful. And then I would say, okay, here are the 3 things that I want you to do differently in the next dive to raise it to a 7.
Okay.
So you separate the dive from the person, the act from the ego.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.